what's going on today? It's Wednesday. It's October 16th, and I'm here again. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate if you're basically, finding the time to sit here and listen to me talk about some few things. So this is Yamanote Tech Podcast. The name is just the name of the business name, and kind of use a podcast right now. I want to change the name to some other type of name. I don't know, maybe like focus therapy or focus theory or something that allows the idea of understanding that you have to build discipline and focus on a certain thing in order to get things done. Here in this podcast, so we focus more on entrepreneurship, the daily pop culture that revolves around the most single things I'm doing on my work ethic, and also, a little bit more about maybe some opportunities to build like some sort of like online business, and which tools are the right tools. So last episode we spoke a lot about using Plex server, and we also spoke a lot about the last movie that came out, which was Joker, which I was pretty much excited about. Last week I watched Gemini Man, and I probably want to speak about that as well. So just stay tuned if you want to continue to, listen in. You're going to hear I find out more. And we're back. So I want to talk about today is getting set up with your network, networking with people. I spent a lot of time, reading and watching different videos about other people networking, and I finally managed to find a event not too far from me here in New York. It's called the National Achievers 2019 Congress, and they're basically some sort of like event where Gary Vaynerchuk, he's also a serial entrepreneur. He's also CEO of VaynerMedia, and you have Damon John, who's the global entrepreneur and investor. He's the star of ABT's Shark Tank, and he's also the founder and CEO of Fubu. Fubu is a clothing line that was very, very, very popular back in the 90s. And him and a few other people are going to be talking, and, we'll be able to probably go there and, find some people to network with. It might be a really great time. I don't know how many. It looks like it's just one day. The tickets are relatively reasonable. I mean, you could just take a 20-minute. I'm just really listening to some of the intro I actually heard from the show.
Guys, I'm so excited to be coming to your town. Really, I'm going to be giving a state of the union of where we are in entrepreneurship and marketing. For me, the last 25 years of my career have been predicated a very simple game of, do I know how to run a business, and do I know how to market to the consumer in the way they consume content today? I'll bring you the tips, the tricks, and the execution needed to win today's day. Guys, I'm so excited to be coming to your town.
And yeah, so this is actually from the us.nacconference.com, where there's kind of like they're going to have a few people go up there and talk about their ideas and their tips. And that was Gary Vee that you just heard there. And there's a few other people that's actually on this list here. You have Satima Gali and Cherry Tree probably, Doug Nelson and Wayne Gray. There are going to be more. I don't know exactly who else is probably going to be there, but they say that you'll be able to come here and learn to grow, where you get a chance to meet the entrepreneurial royalty who is at NAC 19, and will share the unique game-changing strategies, processes, and mindset that you need to create extraordinary levels of success, wealth, and fulfillment. Now, I never really gone to one of these things before. Entrepreneurship is something that's very broad and scary, at least in my opinion, because I feel like you're trying to get somebody to get to understand and get excited about something that's in your head. And with that being said, it's kind of difficult to convey that. So I feel that utilizing social media and talking to other people you'll be able to pick the pluses and minuses from each person, kind of develop your own brand, and hopefully you'll be able to kind of convey that information somewhere. Now, selling things, I have no idea what exactly I want to sell, mainly because of the fact that I feel like what I want to be able to do is able to just talk right now, and be able to even go to this particular event and then come on to my show and just talk about it, and then try to find some way to find some time to talk on other people's shows. And these things are pretty tough, and I think that this is like what I should be starting to talk about. So before I actually go into branding and talking about different things, I would just do this. So go ahead and moving forward. If you were still interested in going to this event, it's in New Jersey. There are some tiered pricing tickets. So there's you buy $29, you get a chance to get seating, but you don't get anything else. There's like 11% that's basically done with that. Just the next value is at $39, where you get a NAC workbook, which is some sort of $19 value. A Tony Robbins video course, 6 steps to success. Then you get, the next seating is at $79, where it's much better, where you get the workbook, the Tony Robbins video course, priority check-in, Gary V's 6 marketing insights video series, one-on-one post-event coaching session, which is probably going to be pretty good. Whether or not you get the chance to sit with who you want is probably difficult to come up with right now, but that's it. And there's like a $179 one, where you get the one-on-one post-event coaching session, and then you get exclusive platinum Q&A lunch with Damon John, Damon John. And then you also get the diamond version. That's why I mixed up, which is $679. They already have it at half capacity, and you get the front row seating. You get the $19 workbook. You get the Tony Robbins video course, priority check-in, Gary V's 6 marketing insights video series, one-on-one post-event coaching session, and exclusive platinum Q&A lunch with Damon John. And you also get a one-on-one photo with Gary Vaynerchuk that you probably could use on your social media. So it's going to be on October 25th in Newark, New Jersey, at the New Jersey Performance Arts Center. If you're interested in, going, you can probably, Google this and for more details. It looks like it's going to be an all-day thing, where you have up until the 24th. The registration is 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's the registration. And the day of registration is 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. So I think that if you don't register by Friday, 8 a.m., you can't participate, maybe. There's just a 2-part program, a morning program, which is developing and implementing the mindset and strategies required to unlock your full potential. And then you have afternoon program, which is developing the skill set required to execute on the strategies learned from the morning session. It has more, info in here, general questions, tells you which venue you're going to be in, the ticket classes, the interview questions, is there a lunch break. There's some sort of like difference of level of tier for questions for diamond and platinum questions. So it seems to be like a pretty good event. I don't know about I don't know exactly on how valuable it will be to me at this point, but I want to be able to look into it, because it's going to be a long haul. I mean, like, you're grabbing all this information is going to be important. But yeah, so I'm going to end it right there and take another break. And then when we come back, we can talk more about other stuff. All right. So on our next list of talks that we're going to be speaking about, those are the top topics. We're going to basically be working with the what we call the you know, what how my setup. So basically, every Wednesday, after work, I try to sit down and prepare, some content that I've been looking to, talk about on the show all during the week, and it won't be necessarily be possible if I didn't be able to utilize this service called Anchor.fm, which is a very good service for quickly getting your podcast up and running. Anchor.fm is pretty much an application for Google or iPhone, and a desktop app that allows you to record, message people, set up can keep a library of other clips that you might use, and actually build your episodes up in transitions points. Um, it also allows you to share it among and be able to be searched on several different websites such as Spotify. If you want to go ahead and find out more, you can head to Anchor.fm. So, tune into that. And if you're looking to also, start like a podcast, this is very, very convenient. My takeaway from actually using Anchor FM is that you're kind of forced to utilize having everything set up and managed and monitored by Anchor FM. And if anything ever happened to Anchor FM, then you would have to go through the channels of trying to get all your stuff back, which it probably isn't that hard. If I would, if I was going to do this, for another year or so, I would want to be able to have copies of my own podcast, and that's kind of like why I'm moving into the next segment, which is going to be talking about using Plex. Plex is that's a software as a service that allows you to not only share, put your stuff instead of putting your products like or your videos or your movies or anything you have, or any of your software, your files in the cloud. You can put them in this. You can put them on your computer, and your computer will basically you install this service that allows you to stream your videos and pictures and stuff like that. Your basically your file directory, pretty much, as if you were running things like like a Netflix type of thing, and you can watch it on any device, PS4, um, Xbox, iPhone, your computer, and you can basically look at it from any device. As long if Plex has a client web application for it, then you can basically use it. I find that really interesting, and because it's safe in your house or wherever you want to keep it, you can also go ahead and utilize the what do we call it again? Other security, personal security system on your computer. So if you're a big, tech person like I am, being able to manage all these things yourself is great. Now that doesn't take away from using, Dropbox or Instagram or whatever case may. I mean, Dropbox or what's the other one? Google Cloud. You can definitely still use those things, but I feel like I wouldn't want to have everything up with them, So I think that using Plex server is great, and also, talking about it is using a VPN, and I use NordVPN, and a VPN is basically a virtual private network which allows you to have some anonymity on the website. So if you use a public Wi-Fi at a coffee shop or an airport, you can be able to hide your IP address from people who might be trying to sabotage your device, or your iPhone or your laptop or whatever devices that you use to hook up to the internet. Nord VPN has some sort of like VPN service that you can use. NordVPN or VPN also helps when you're like looking to buy certain things, so you're not being tracked um, and on the internet. And it also maybe you want to get some cheaper flights. Basically changing your IP address sometimes helps that fluctuation of the flight prices usually be moved towards your favor. So NordVPN is not the only VPN you can use. You can use a lot of other VPNs if you wanted to. I think another one that's great. It's called Hide My Ass. I kid you not. And HideMyAss.com is another VPN service. It's pretty great too. But I like to try different new things. So I this year I picked up NordVPN. So try NordVPN at NordVPN. I'm not sponsoring them, and they don't sponsor me at all. But I just want to like to give people some tips on things. So, and with that, I want to take another break. Okay, so this segment here, I basically will spend some time talking a little bit about some of the books that I listen to on Audible at audible.com, or I read at for Kindle. Right now, I am currently looking at two books. One book is pretty much the Permanent Record by Edward Snowden. And I mean, I think I'm about maybe, I think, let me look it up real quick. Yeah, I'm about maybe 70% done with the book. And the book is a great, eye opener. If you don't know who Edward Snowden is a whistleblower who worked for the CIA and various other contracting companies in the United States, and was now living in exile in Russia after leaking stolen information that he stole for the good of the people, he believes. And he's been gone for like 6 years now, living in Russia, and he's on various websites right now, and he does various talks via remote, some remote video, and he's basically helping people, become more aware of their top secret. Not top secret. He wants to be more aware of like managing their privacy and like how the government tries to spy on you. You know, my ideas and how I feel about him is not really like doesn't really matter. I just think that it's great to listen to someone talk about um, technology and being able to um, let's read what he says can really help you to when he writes his book. When he wrote the book was more in a sense that the common person, the layman's terms can really understand. um, I think the permanent record is actually on YouTube. If you Google the audio book, somebody actually uploaded the video up there as well. Uploaded the audio book up there right now. But I actually have the Kindle app, which I've been reading right now, back and forth to work, and it's great. And some of the things that I actually like that he talked about, I'm actually gonna bring up a little bit, just so people who are you know not necessarily um, savvy with the internet. Um, Let me see. Now I'm using my iPhone that pretty much has a new UI interface to navigate through some of your pictures and stuff. Okay, yeah. So like one thing he wrote about in his book was the largest embassies would have maybe five of these people. The larger embassy would have maybe three, but most of them had one. They are called singletons. And I remember being told that of all the posts the CIA offers, these have the highest rates of divorce. To be a singleton is to be a lone technical officer, far from home, in a world where everything is always broken. And he was basically, in his book, he just talks about his time working for the CIA and working as a Dell contractor for the government. And he spoke about how, like, some people who worked in certain positions would always end up being, be prone to get a divorce because of their loyalty or their allegiance to their job, or how demanding the job was. Um, Another thing that I was reading was basically another way he said, like, my mind was a mashup of the values I was raised with, the ideals and I encountered online. It took me until my late 20s to finally understand that so much of what I believed, or what I thought I believed, was just useful imprinting. We learn to speak by imitating the speech of the adults around us, and in the process of the learning, we wind up also imitating their opinions. until we deluded ourselves into thinking that the words we're using are our own. And the way he writes the book is really interesting. It's kind of laid out for you to understand. He kind of tries to not overwhelm you with a whole bunch of technical jargon, but me, I can relatively understand what he's trying to say and how he goes about things, basically because of um, my professional background. And but I do feel that this book is a good read if you are worried about your privacy online. And you can also watch a lot of his videos. He's on the Trevor Noah show. He was recently on. He's also on um, CBS. I forget one of the evening news interview with forget the guy's name. Anyway, so with that, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next segment, and that's gonna basically just talk a little bit about working and doing entrepreneurship like this. How is it? All right. So in this segment here, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about a little bit more about my job and working and how it all plays together. So like now, as people know, I also work as a contractor for several different companies in the tri-state area, and I spend a lot of my time, working with software development, relatively front end, more front end right now, meaning that a lot of the web, a lot of the tech, of the software that's used to render the page that you see on your phone, on your computer, or your watch, it's changing now these days. But HTML, CSS, JavaScript are basically the bread and butter of of the internet these days. And there's a lot of other languages and technology that puts it together, properly. But um, working with these technologies, all as well as some frameworks that are out there that are helps you to as a developer to be more I guess cleaner and organized, if that helps you to make any sense. And I I feel that being a contractor, you work, like 12 to 18 months at one company, maybe 2 years another company, maybe 6 months at this company, and I like the opportunity to work, and you get paid, relatively fine. I mean, like on average, you may make between $500 to $600 a day, and then because you usually get paid like daily, meaning like if you stay there, until your work is done, but you don't, but the hour, like they don't give you more hours for that. So it's great because you can kind of move around. You can make the amount of money you need for, let's say, for the whole year in a couple of months, and then take the rest of the year and kind of like build your own business. This is like which one of the reasons why I believe I could, have a business like this, sharing information, helping people understand the technology that they actually have, and to also find some way to, as an outlet to, a lot of the stresses and confusions of, just working every single day. I feel like sharing information is great, especially when you have people that don't really know a lot about technology. I feel like it's really important to kind of find time to address that to people, because people don't necessarily know. Um, they don't really know everything. We all don't know the meaning. Like one is there's a famous Bill Nye. He's basically the science guy. Basically, once said is everybody knows at least one thing you don't know. And because of that, you want to make sure that you talk to people and share your information, and they share back your information, because not only because you'll get to know something new, but you'll also learn things and can find ways to communicate, because that's really important. And that's why I like using these types of like social media or podcasting, because I feel that there might be somebody out there that might be listening that might find this interesting. And we don't, and if you feel like you want to talk more, you can always email me. Right now, I don't have a dedicated email address, but I will be putting one up. But for right now, if you want to email me, you could just email me at ksamuel.chris@me.com. And in the subtitle, just put the podcast, Yamanote podcast, and just tell me what you feel. Also, there's the Yamanote Tech podcast Twitter up now, so at Yamanote Tech, and I have a Yamanote Sen and at Instagram. Now Yamanote Sen, like let you know the name, little background, So I spent a lot of time, like visiting Japan and learning Japanese and playing games and stuff. And one of my favorite places that I used to commute was in Tokyo was the Yamanote Sen, which was like the line for the train. The train was basically this like local public train that everybody used to you take it. It would take you all around Japan. It would run right in a circle. You can always get to any place in Tokyo, relatively close by using the Yamanote Sen. And the thing about, and I feel like that's the kind of thing everybody gets on this train that I'm on, and we all can we can get anywhere we need to get to as long as we're all riding together. So that's kind of like why I use the word Yamanote. Plus, I always like that it just sounds really good. But I know it may sound difficult for people, but that's kind of like why I use the name. So yeah. Um, so next stop on this train is going to be we're probably going to speak a little bit more about um, some more stuff. I haven't really. Let me just see how much time I actually have left, and then I'll be right back. All right, yeah. So the last thing we're going to basically talk about today is pretty much focusing on building your skill set. So I just spoke in the last segment that I spend a lot of time like going to Japan, and Japan has been like this safe haven for me because 16 in 2003 I actually began studying Japanese because of the fact that I wanted to play this game that was only in Japanese for the first year it came out, and that was Final Fantasy 11. And I always wanted to speak Japanese, but I didn't have a real reason to. And that point was great. I used it to hack my mind to be motivated always to study. So everybody I met online to play would speak Japanese because I would go to school during the day and then work at night. So in the mornings. In the mornings or early in the night, I would probably go and play. And at times in America, at night they would be during the day they would be playing, or in the mornings you would probably find some more people still playing late at night in Japan. I started to memorize, the hiragana and katakana, and one at a time started to memorize the kanji that would appear on the screen. And it's been a while since I basically started. And I think after about maybe 6 or 7 years, I had like a break, like two years. I didn't really do that much, but I continued to study and I continued to push through it. And as I got older, I found time to go to Japan about maybe two, three, two, maybe at least once or twice a year to visit friends I've made during the years, or I would when I went to school, I also was able to find some time to even to go with people from school. So I it's still an ongoing process. I always feel like every time I learn something new, the more I learn about Japanese, the more I feel like I don't know, the more I want to learn. But I've gotten to a point right now where my Japanese is enough where it scares people. A lot of people, around me will see me take out some document that's maybe, that's probably pretty much in Japanese, or a news article, or I'll maybe tell people I could speak Japanese, and they look at me like, and I'm like, it's not that much. Like, that's a lot, And I'm like, yeah. I mean, I feel it feels good. It feels good to kind of show that. And like going to school and learning, it wasn't the same because I felt like you're always learning things in school based on what the teacher says, and like based on the teacher gives you a grade, then you're like that good at based on that grade. But with Japanese, it was I spent as much time doing it on my own. There was no reason to do it, but from my own. It was from my own like point of view, like what I wanted to go ahead and do as a fan of Japanese culture, and being able to understand what people are saying in Japanese and being able to read it was a fascination to me. And that's what I basically meant to say to people that, you gotta, if you want to, if you're looking to get into, some sort of like, um, business where you're going to have to work with people, it's good to kind of like be able to speak in a language. I would just start every day. Right now I'm actually using my Japanese to learn Chinese, and I'm focusing more on watching TV now because these in the last decade, you can find anything online, and breaking things down into small pieces and reading it aloud is a great way to learn and not really worried about how much you don't know, but just making sure that you learn something every day. And if you can find more people to interact with, you can do those things too. But I definitely will recommend that for many, especially many people who are probably still in high school or in college. Take advantage of that. I don't necessarily, I use textbooks to learn, to kind of like brush up on like more serious grammar, but being able to learn how to speak better or being able to speak more fluently came from the necessary need to interact with the people I was working with, like online. So, like playing a game, you got to do a lot of typing, and there was some voice chat too later on. But like the first few years, it was only typing, and people didn't really know what was going. There was already like this small translating system that was in the chat. You could translate like "hello, party," in the chat log, but being able to kind of write like the level of your character, all the skills in like short-handed Japanese, allowed me to learn more about typing in Japanese and keeping track of certain phonetically organized word like cues for certain things, like for when you are fighting a monster in a game, and in the game the monster drops it, we usually would say in English, "Oh, it dropped," but in Japanese, the kanji is there's a few. Let me say, there's a few versions of it. So you have deru, which means to come out, or to fall, and then you have the past tense for deru is deta, and um, so if you would say deta, and in the game, people would know, oh, oh, something dropped, and it wasn't because of the fact that you know, you knew it right away. It was because we were all playing together, and people would say, and I felt like that's what's important about learning. You have to learn from other people. You have to learn from how other people do things. I mean, we trust what other people do more than we trust. I mean, what a textbook will say. Textbook will probably say deru, and you would see the kanji, and you would see the past tense form, but it would be lost out of context if you didn't be able to. I wasn't able to connect it with this language. I mean, with the game's language. Later on, after like 4 or 5 years after playing, somebody made a website where they were able to put people's characters online, and I had my character up, and people were like, "Oh shoot, you're a black guy. Yeah, you speak Japanese really good." I'm like, it was really helpful. I was able to kind of like learn, even play the game all in Japanese, which allowed me to play games and buy stuff much cheaper, because in Japan, it would be a fraction of the cost. So you could buy like a game that came out like 2 years ago, like a Final Fantasy game would have like record breaking sales. And if you buy the game used in Japan, it would probably be like a third of the cost. So I was able to buy like, Japanese version of the system. I was able to buy more books, and it just became a really good hobby that I can just call myself. I had a few friends who did speak, but I have a very close knit few people who speak Japanese these days. And I think that when Japanese really allows you to practice your your uh, your speaking ability and your listening ability with all the entertainment they have. Animation, Japanese TV, Japanese movie, Japanese dramas, and that's one thing you really need to do. Even going to Japan will help too. But I think that I had to learn how to speak slower, because of the fact that things don't necessarily always match up sometimes when you're speaking really fast in Japanese to people. And also drinking a beer too when you're talking to people also slows down your anxiety. At least just for me, you know. And but I did learn a lot about that. I actually feel like I should maybe make a podcast in Japanese. I just don't really know what to basically do about it, but I might do something like that later in the future. I might even have a video version where I might have an interview or something with somebody speaking in Japanese. But and with that, that's all I'm going to basically do for today. And once again, I'd like to thank everybody for listening. If you want to basically find out more, you can just email me at ksamuel.chris@me.com. If you email me there, maybe you can help me come up with another name for the show if you want. Make a shout out saying thank you for listening to the show. Also, you can also find us on Twitter at Yamanote Tech right now. And talk to you next week. Peace.